Welcome to Saturday's Weird, the channel where we talk all things BYU and 12 and to the final week of the season to preview the Coug on Coug matchup between BYU and Houston. We've got Ryan from Cougs.com joining us. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Before we jump in, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We do live reactions after each game, as well as we do more breakdowns and picks and predictions earlier in the week. And then we like to do these segments for get to know the foe a little bit and dive in a little bit. So we're really excited to have Ryan here to share some insights into this Houston program and this matchup and what we might expect coming into this weekend on Saturday. So Ryan, first and foremost, I've really got to go straight to the hard hitting questions. And I really got to know, do you guys know that Cougar is spelt with a U and not two O's?
Yeah, so there's a lot of illiteracy in Houston, and it's just been that way for 60 years. It just was a thing that happened 60 years ago, and it's just stuck. Y'all are the OU, Houston's the OO. It's going to work.
No, I'm teasing. I mean, and that's part of the fun of college sports is you get little intricacies like that, little traditions and things that stick for whatever reason, and that's what makes it fun. So, no, I'm kidding. It is fun, though. BYU and Houston have faced off a few times, I think only during BYU's independence era, so they've all been a little more recent history. But now, first time playing in conference. Obviously, Houston struggling a little bit this season. It was to be expected after what happened last year and then getting a new coaching hire. But I got to say, I'm a big fan of Willie Fritz and what he was doing at Tulane. Can you tell me a little bit about what year one has been for him and where we could kind of see the trajectory of this team going as he gets in and gets settled and gets more of his guys into the program?
Sure. So last year, you were not very good, and two of your three Big 12 wins were a Hail Mary and an overtime win. Or excuse me, I think you only had two. Now that I think about it, you had two. So it was a Hail Mary and an overtime win. So you weren't that good. You've beaten Utah, not great. Kansas State, pretty good, solid team in this conference. And then TCU, who is good some weeks and not very good other weeks. It's hard to kind of figure them out.
Yeah.
This offense is struggling, and perhaps the worst in the country, to be honest. You lost a ton of guys with the coaching change. Dana had a lot of seniors on that team, but you just lost attrition. And so Willie brought in 63 new players, the second most in the country behind Colorado. And it's been a struggle. They brought in a quarterback who started the year as the backup, is now the starter, Zion Chris. Zion is a great runner of the football, not a great passer. And you see that in the numbers. This offensive line has struggled. They're kind of playing a lot of 12 personnel, keeping two tight ends to block. You run the ball okay, but nothing great. And U of H has had to have a perfect special teams day and a great defensive day to be in games late and to try to win them. And that's the whole MO for what U of H fans expect to see tomorrow. If they're going to get a win, it's got to be special teams, it's got to be defense and field position.
Okay, so how do you think the cold is going to factor in? Because obviously the weather in Provo, the altitude, quite different than what you get in Houston.
Yeah, this team has not played in, I want to say it's below 80 degrees this year, or maybe one time at Arizona. But it has been a quite pleasant year for U of H. So this is going to be a bit of a sticker shock. They played in the cold last year at Kansas State in late October. It was in the 30s and the wind was howling, so the wind chill was pretty low. And they responded by scoring 0 points. So we'll see how that goes this week. It's hard to tell. These are mostly Southern kids that just have not played in weather like this too much.
Well, you mentioned your quarterback not being great at throwing. So does that, with the cold weather, I don't know, with the hard ball, the cold hands, if that just increases the likelihood that they run. I played Turkey Bowl yesterday. It was raining on us. It was cold. I can tell you, your fingers don't move quite the same way. It's hard to catch that ball. Is that going to be, I think in the game plan, and we should just see two teams just kind of slugging it out through running, or do you expect them to try to go through the air at all?
So they have tried throwing the ball a lot the last 2 weeks, and it has not gone well. You haven't scored an offensive touchdown in the last 2 weeks. They fired the offensive coordinator, announced it Tuesday morning of this week. So it's really hard to say what the game plan is going to be because you've got a new guy in charge.
Sure.
And he's never been an offensive coordinator at this level. He had 3 days to prepare. I mean, it's how do you figure that out? I don't know. I would expect them to lean heavy into the run and to try a couple of different wrinkles in a passing game. The most interesting thing for this team in this cold passing is watch number 0 on the offense. His name is Joseph Manjack. He was at USC, transferred to U of H, Houston kid, does not wear gloves and refuses to wear gloves, even in the cold. So I'm curious to see, can he catch the ball? Do they throw it to him? How does that work in this cold weather? I believe he missed that Kansas State game last year with an injury, so I don't think we have any real, numbers for him. But that's the one I would be interested in watching.
Okay. I mean, I do wonder that with such a short week and a new OC, like how many new wrinkles could you really install at this point? Right. Or at this point, you just really kind of lean into where you've seen success this season. Because I do have to say, Houston has been in a lot of games until they're not. So I think that, I mean, I look back, I mean, Oklahoma was not who we thought they were when they played Houston, but played them pretty close through most of the game. Iowa State was kind of close until they really started piling on late, if I remember right. And there were some others. So, Houston definitely has some pieces there, some talent, and you can start seeing, I think, a foundation. Is a lot of what's kept them in these games their defense?
Yeah, for sure. In the first game, in the UNLV game, the starters did not score. The third team quarterback came in on the last drive and scored a touchdown.
Okay.
They scored 12 points against OU, were shut out by Cincinnati and Iowa State, scored 3 points against Arizona on offense, 3 points against Baylor on offense. I mean, the offense, not great. But the defense has held Iowa State and TCU, Utah, Kansas State, and Baylor to their first or second lowest points of the season. So that has kept you in it. Special teams is a Willie Fritz thing, and they have to be really good on special teams in order to compete. When you start seeing penalties, you start seeing mistakes. Those hidden yards are where U of H cannot overcome. And we've seen it in all the wins. It's special teams, it's defense, it's field position.
Excellent. So who on the defensive side should we really watch out for? And what's kind of are there any areas where they're especially strong, and maybe pass defense or run defense, or what's kind of their bread and butter?
I would say it's containment. It's keeping the guy in front of you and making an open field tackle. The first guy you have to watch is number 44, Michael Batten. Mm-hmm. Batten has the most interesting story I've perhaps ever heard. He started his college career at Louisiana Lafayette, did not make it through the first summer. Came back, went to a junior college, and did not play football. Then went to Houston Christian, which is an FCS school, and played quarterback, did not fit in there. Went to junior college on Long Island for a year and was going to transfer to Wagner, didn't work out, went to Louisiana Monroe and spent 2 years, got in the starting lineup, and then came to Houston. So in a 6-year college career, he's been all over the country. But this is his first year in Houston, only year, and has really impressed. Speed, smarts on the football field, just knows where he needs to be at all times. There's a defensive back, A.J. Halsey, number 2, who transferred from New Mexico 2 years ago, who has really shown to be a really solid defensive player. There's another guy, Jeremiah Wilson, number 20, who intercepted 2 balls last week, one of them for a pick 6, U of H's only score, or only touchdown. So I think those are the 2 guys you'd want to watch, is 44 linebacker and 2 defensive back.
Okay. So what is this team going to have to do to slow BYU's offense down and make this kind of a rock fight?
Well, they're going to have to turn them over. And you're going to have to steal possessions and win the field position battle and convert on third down. If you look, this team is the worst third down team. I think they're at 27%, which is maybe last in the country. It's U of H started keeping third down conversion percentages in 1979. This is the worst one they've had in 45 years. I went back and did the numbers on that and was like, oh, yeah. So you've got to convert on third down, which means in reality winning on first down. If this team is behind the chains on second downs, it's really hard for them to pick up the first. So win those first downs, win the field position battle, get a turnover or 2, and not make any mistakes in special teams. Willie is not afraid to go with trick plays, especially on special teams. You could see that. It's the end of the year. You're out of bowl contention. Maybe try to keep your guys interested and fresh during the week. You work on some trick stuff. And I could very well see them doing that this week.
Interesting. How about on the other side of the ball on offense? What is Houston going to have to be able to do if they want to be able to put up any kind of points?
I don't know, because I haven't really seen it this year. You've had 5 games where you've scored 0 or 1 offensive touchdowns. I mean, it's been a struggle. Zion Chris has to run the ball well from the quarterback spot, but you've got 3 freshmen in the backfield at running back. One of them has to break out. I think Rashawn Sanford is probably the best bet. He's a small guy, but quick and runs downhill. Not afraid to take on a hit. Just a really interesting kid. He's a redshirt freshman. He broke his leg in camp last year, so never played. But he has stood out this year. He's running the ball well. I think they're going to give him more touches. He only got 8 last week, and I think 11 the week before. He's got to see the ball more. And they've got to be smart on third downs. One of the issues with the offensive coordinator they just let go was he was running these intricate, deep routes on third down when you can't protect the quarterback. And they just weren't working. It has to be a quicker, short passing game. And if they can do that, they might have success. But I know BYU is really good. They've struggled recently, but it'll be interesting to see, especially with, what BYU could be playing for. And so I think that's going to make some difference in a game, but we'll just have to see how that plays out tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That was my next question, actually, is at this point in the night, we should have a pretty good idea of how the conference is going to be shaking out. I think there could be some overlap depending on how long the Farmageddon could kind of bleed over a little bit, but we pretty much should know how things are playing out and whether BYU is still playing for a spot in the conference championship or not. So obviously BYU has a lot on the line. Houston, on the other hand, can't make a bowl game at this point. And so with nothing else really on the line, and this being the final game of the season for this Houston squad, what's motivating them? How are they getting up and to get ready to come out and play this game?
That's a great question because I don't think we really know. This is the program's first shot at this under Willie Fritz. Willie this week, when I met with him Monday, said this is our bowl game, and we're going to treat it like a bowl game. And I think these guys like playing for him, but they're going to have to find that motivation within. It's not a team goal anymore, except to win a game. But you're going to have to motivate yourselves in this spot, and we'll just have to see if they can do that. I don't have a good read on it. I don't think anybody does. But it's got to be either you're wanting to play spoiler, get that fifth win, fourth in the conference, and it's going to be fascinating because I really don't have an answer to this, and I apologize for not having a lot of answers to most of these questions, just because it's a kind of a new era this week, at least, especially on the offense.
No, I mean it's one of those seasons, and for Houston, one of those things that you expect to start, that the coaching staff, Willie Fritz and company, start addressing a lot of those questions and finding answers. And I expect we will see a jump going into next year. The good news is we could see Vegas behind you because you're there covering the Houston basketball team. So the good news is it's basketball season now, and you got better things going on there for Houston. But also, you mentioned that you will be going to Provo today to
Yep.
This is Friday, so to be covering this game on Saturday night. And I am not actually located in Provo anymore. I don't have a lot of good recommendations. Usually when I have guests on for when BYU's traveling, try to find out where they should go. I don't have many good recommendations for Ryan. So if you're local and you got some restaurants and things, let us know in the comments so you can give him some tips on where he should go eat and things he should check out while he's in town. But so Ryan, I guess last thing I would say is, can you give me a score prediction for this game? What do you think? How do you think it'll turn out?
I don't do score predictions, especially with this team, because you really never know. But I mean, I think BYU wins it. I don't think that's controversial, even with our subscribers and the people that watch our shows. But I am so curious to see, does U of H stand up and make a great effort, or is it just laying down? I mean, the last 2 weeks have not looked great, and that's coming off of an open week, and then 2 weeks in a row you haven't scored an offensive touchdown. Mm-hmm. So we'll just have to see. But I am very willing for them to show me something, but I am not. I can't predict it.
Well, I guess we will see that, it's crazy that this season's already coming to an end. And, it's always football season, a lot of fun. Like I said, we got basketball ahead of us now, and I'm, look forward to getting into more of that this season. But, it's been a definitely an entertaining one across the Big 12. BYU always appreciates seeing Utah lose. So way to go, Houston. Thanks for that. And for continuing their in-conference streak to 0. But so if nothing else, you got our support for that. But great. Well, Ryan, tell us a little bit about GoCougs.com and where people can find all your content.
So GoCougs.com is a subscriber-based website. We write content almost every day of the football and basketball seasons. We have 3 different podcasts that are available on YouTube at Go Cougs. And then on all other social media, it's at Go Cougs, the numeral 1. And that's Cougs with an O and an O, not an O and a U. If you go to Go Cougs with a U.com or anything else, you go to BYU's apparel website, which is great for y'all, not so great for me. But go Cougs, 2 O's.com, and that's where you can find us. We have 15 or so contributors during football and basketball season on podcasts, writing content, photographers, videographers, all over.
Awesome. Yeah, go check them out, especially if you're looking to get to know BYU's final opponent of the season a little bit better, fellow conference mate, and we'll be seeing you more over the years. So awesome. I do appreciate that, and you coming on and taking time while you're in Las Vegas, covering a lot of other sports, to take a moment with us to help us get to know Houston. Do go check out their stuff. I will have all of his links and everything in the description below. Again, if you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Cougs.
Go
with
Cougs.
With a U. All right, thanks.